The best mulch is no mulch, or rather green mulch, that is, plants themselves. Again, we look to nature to see how plants behave in the wild and bring the lesson back to our gardens. Hey plant fans, Sonia here, Plant Your Pitch Up, and we need to ask ourselves why we're using mulch in the first place.
There are a couple of important reasons.
Because bare soil is a no-no, it doesn't look good and it inevitably gets colonised by weeds. Also because we want to protect the soil from drying out or even blowing away sometimes, or even more specifically to retain enough moisture in the soil so that the root system doesn't dry out. So obviously like to keep the plants alive. So how does nature solve this problem? In a word or two words, vertical layering. If you look in the wild, you will almost never see bare soil, apart from like deserts or other extreme environments. The essence of a plant's community, in fact, is the layering of different species, not only side by side, but also on top of one another.
There are a range of natural landscape patterns to be found in the wild. Less prevalent now that the human fingerprint is so vast on the planet, but still recognisable. Forest, grassland, scrubland, meadows, for example, and smaller, more niche ones too. Common amongst them all is a ground cover plant layer which underpins the taller layers above it.
Remember that plants have evolved to carve out survival in almost all conditions. Just as some plants grow tall to outcompete rival species for sunlight, others have evolved to spread sideways and tolerate shade. And these are the plants we can leverage for green mulch, or ground cover if you like.
These plants in this lowest layer are functional because they hug the ground and prevent erosion, and from a design point of view they suppress weeds. Their flowers tend to be insignificant, often hidden and unnoticeable. They are often rhizomatous or stoloniferous plants that spread out sideways, or easy self-seeders that give them a dynamic quality, allowing them to move around other more rigid species and colonise any gaps in a plant community. Some of these plants, like the ragworts and groundsels, are not really garden-worthy from a design point of view, and some could be too invasive. But there are many of these carpet layer plants that are widely suited to gardens for their functionality and visually appealing too. The carexes, the violas, the pachysandras, the saxifragas, and many, many more.
For the purposes of vertical layering, you'll need shade-tolerant, horizontally spreading plants. So make sure that you're avoiding creepers that require full sun. Well, for example, creeping thyme, creeping phlox, juniperus horizontalis, or stachys byzanthus, lamb's ear. They do spread horizontally, but they require full sun, so they're not going to work to underplant a taller layer of planting. Favourites of mine that tolerate a fair degree of shade and would be suitable for this kind of underplanting are Ajuga reptens or bugle, epimedium, sweet woodruff, and Geranium macrorhizum, which is a low-growing geranium that gets up to only about 35 centimetres tall. So in a nutshell, you don't have to cram your plants to get a full effect. You can layer your plants vertically, mimicking nature, and have a healthy functioning plants community in your bed or border that will stop the soil from drying out and that will cover the ground sufficiently so that unwanted weeds can't easily helicopter in. If you found this helpful and have a thirst for plant knowledge, then please subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, then you'll probably enjoy this video.